Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And this is Maggie here to join us too. Today's topic is flow and that awesome state that we get into where time kind of disappears and we're totally immersed, and it's just a really productive and inspired kind of state. Before we get started though, let's just take a minute or two to settle in and get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell, every organ of your body. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, any fatigue, toxicity. Let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating every molecule, every electron, lighting up your body and radiating this brilliant light into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining fatigue or stress or tension or toxicity. And now let's just gently press our palms together really softly. Rub your fingers against your palms just to feel how delicious that sensation is, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. It's great to be here with you. And today we're talking about flow. I'm sure that everybody's had at least one experience that you can remember where you were involved in something and all of a sudden you kind of check the clock and hours have passed. You don't know where they went. You don't know exactly what you did during that time that made so much time pass, but you were completely immersed. And that's kind of a state of flow when we are just really truly present to the moment. And typically in those states, our internal conversation has silenced, and our we're just really present to what we're doing. We're immersed, we're focused, we're aligned. And good morning, Dido. Welcome. It's great to have you here. So we're talking about a state of flow and maybe what it's like when we're there, and maybe we can discover some pathways to experience it. This state of sort of maybe heightened awareness, but definitely heightened focus and greater productivity, more internal quiet. I think that this is probably a similar state. Good morning, Suzanne. Welcome. Great to have you here. We're talking about flow, and if you have any magical tips to induce a state of flow, this would be a great place to share them now. But it is sort of a magical experience to just kind of be in the dance of presence. And I think that this, as I was saying, is similar to a state maybe that we have in meditation occasionally, where we're able to access other dimensions of awareness. And I think one of the big things that characterizes this state is a lack of resistance, a lack of self, maybe even a lack of self reflection. Good morning, Robert. Welcome. So glad to have you. So, in these moments of flow, there's a quietude of, I think, self awareness, self reflection, that we actually kind of transcend that state. So most of the time, I think we have an internal dialogue going that takes a portion of our attention, where we're doing a running commentary. Good morning, Tammy. Great to have you here. Maggie says hi. She just flew onto a shelf so she could play with gravity and drop things onto the floor. So Suzanne says, when my vibrations are higher, it flows. Exactly. So in this space of heightened focus, it's kind of like we're putting our attention on something, or maybe we're doing something, and we become so immersed in that thing that we kind of become that thing. And this is the irony that I have been discovering again and again and again this week in conversation and also in my own awareness. And that is that it is by losing ourselves that we find ourselves. So what do I mean by losing ourselves? What I'm not talking about feeling lost. I'm talking about kind of disconnecting from all the ideas about who we believe ourselves to be. So when I'm having this internal dialogue about, well, could I have done this differently? Should I have done this differently? What if I had done that? What if I, all the what ifs, and all of this conversation talking about uh, things in a self-referential way. Good morning, Robin. Wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is really a treat. So in this state of flow, that conversation and that self-reference and that self-analysis and that inner dialogue. Hello, Hope. Welcome. Good afternoon to you. So good to have you here. And welcome, Rosalind. You're pretty funny. Can I have a letter R this morning? So for those of you who haven't been joining us on a regular basis, I have a new member of my family named Maggie, who's off screen right now, but she's a green cheek conure, and she is enamored of the keys of my keyboard, and she has been stealing the keys. She stole and destroyed the right arrow key. And this is the, actually, I don't know if it should go this way or this way, but anyway, it's the left arrow key, which she removed from the computer, but she hasn't consumed it yet. Anyway, here's Maggie. And so Rosalind's asking for a letter R. That's very, very funny. Good afternoon, Pat. Great to have you here. So we're talking about flow, and what is the primary characteristic of flow? It is, I believe it is a releasing of all resistance and a total presence and focus. So these internal conversations that we have that are judging, evaluating, discussing, all of that conversation is in its own way creating resistance to actually experiencing the present moment, because this conversation is diverting us from whatever is here right now. And it's the silencing of those conversations and the releasing of resistance to whatever the moment is presenting that enables us to move into this space that's kind of beyond ourselves. So I was talking about the irony of losing ourselves to find ourselves, because in those moments of flow, that is when life is truly expressing itself through us. And one of my working hypotheses is that what we are is life, is the vehicle for life expressing itself. And in its purest form, it is that moment of flow. I think I'm playing with that idea and inviting you to play with that idea along with me. So when we are present to whatever it is we're doing, for instance, it's so funny because when I'm thinking of a moment of flow or a period of flow, the memory that comes to mind is really, really interesting. Hello, Tammy. Welcome. Because it's not like it was transcended in any particular way. I enjoy fiber arts, although I haven't done much for a while, but I I have a loom, and I also had skeins of yarn that had gotten tangled. And I was untangling this yarn and winding it. And hours and hours of untangling this yarn. But I was so immersed that I didn't realize that it was hours and hours. Time just disappeared. And hours later, here we go. Yeah, TNT back in the house. That's awesome. Tammy and Tammy. So what had happened was that I was so immersed, I was so present that that time just passed. And that was really, really cool. When when life just moves through, you just all of a sudden it's like, wow, where did the last 3 hours go? I've found other moments of flow and immersion like that when I've worked on websites in the past, or when I've worked on usually it's creative. So not that untangling wool is creative, but usually these moments of flow are creative moments that engage us so completely that our other distractions just fall away, including that internal dialogue. So I'm wondering if anybody has any tips on how to induce that state of flow. There is a book, I believe, called Flow, and there are all kinds of studies done on this state. This it's also in a state of flow that we get really truly inspired ideas, where it's almost, sometimes it's sort of a semi-dream state where we have a greater receptivity to new ideas and new awarenesses or different perspectives. And so I'm trying to remember other instances where, well, I'm part of a writing group, and I don't know if any of you have ever tried this, but what we do is we get writing prompts. And so we pick phrases or something, and then just immerse ourselves in writing something about that prompt. And there are times when my inner dialogue is going so much that I really I don't feel the flow of the words coming through. But there are other times when I can just allow myself to truly be present, and the words that come through are amazing. And I think that this is also something when people channel. I've done channeled writing, and usually that wasn't a super sense of flow because it didn't just move through me. But with a lot of folks who channel, they just allow themselves to be in the flow without any kind of resistance. You got it. You nailed it, Suzanne. Heart brain coherence. So in the state of heart brain coherence, that's actually inducing flow. And there's a heart math app, I believe, that you can get. And I don't think it's called heart math. It's called something else maybe. But that can help you to practice this heart and brain coherence. And then that moves you into a different state. And meditation also puts us into different states, brainwave states. Robert says, I used to be in that state every day. That's how I wrote my first book. But lately I can't get into that state. So Robert, do you have any idea what it is that's preventing you from getting into that state? I think it would be helpful for all of us, and maybe it's an opportunity for you to gain some insight of how to be in that state. Part of it, I think, is listening to the whispers. I've spoken about the whispers and the shouts of our heart. I think I did when I was talking about a room that I had the opportunity to join on Clubhouse, a conversation about how do you know when you know. And this is listening and connecting to our deeper inner self, and being in alignment, listening to the impulses, the whispers from our heart and soul that help to guide us. And maybe as we move into that more and more, as we're willing to quiet ourselves for listening, then maybe we have a better opportunity to move into that flow state. So Rosalind says, how to get into the flow. Um, moving could be induced by any, how to get into the flow. Moving could be induced by any breathing exercises. Not sure that's what it's called, but breath of fire, it moves stagnant energy. Breath is the key to so much. And I do believe breath of fire is pretty awesome. Um, uh, it's rapid breathing with a focus on the exhale. So it's I believe, and I'm not an expert here, but I believe it's like, and continuing to focus on the exhale, and it moves um, lots and lots of energy. And the idea is that as you're breathing through that exhale, I think you're pumping your diaphragm also to really press that air out. But if I didn't get it right, please feel free to correct me, because breath of fire is an awesome practice. Anybody who you can look it up online and get some guidance. Thank you, Rosalind. Yeah, so that you can get some guidance on how to do it, and it is a way to re-energize yourself. So Dido says, here's an article by the person who studied flow. Lahi, Cheek sent me hi. Wow. Thank you for that. Always providing such value, Dido. Thank you. So Robert says a bit of fear is what might be stopping the flow. So that is a really, really, really interesting observation, Robert, because what's the fear? The fear is that internal dialogue. Fear is resistance. Fear is resistance to the moment, because we're literally, what happens when we're afraid is we tighten up, we contract, and the state of flow is an expansive state of movement. When we're in fear, it's resistance. And so what I'm so curious, Robert, if you're willing to share, what is the fear in reference to? Is it in fear of being that flow? Is I noticed that when it comes to releasing resistance, what is involved is also releasing our resistance to or releasing our ideas of who we are. And so the more we become aware and awake, the more evolved we are, the less there is to say who I am, which goes like to say, if I'm not an achiever, who am I? If I'm not whatever my occupation is, what am I? If I'm not all these things that I identify myself, what am I? If I'm not this body, if I'm not this mind, if I'm not these thoughts, what am I? And the thing is that as we relinquish our hold on all those things, as we allow ourselves to be the cauldron, which I've spoken about, I think it was last week, the cauldron being the container for all the things, experiences, expressions, and emotions, thoughts, dreams, values, beliefs, all of that we are, all the experience that we are. We're not any of it. We are the vehicle for it. And so as we become more capable of being the channel through which life flows, we become in flow more. And so Abdul Fattah says, I wish I could really tell how I feel right now, endowed with hope and positive thoughts. Sure, my breakthrough has come. Uh, wow. And so it sounds like you're feeling extraordinary and really, really full in a rich and positive way. So I that's a wonderful wonderful experience. And thank you so much for sharing it, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. So Suzanne says, we do the heart brain coherence breathing exercise every morning at the Cup of Joy with Terry. Oh, well, that's cool. You know what? I have to check into that. Maybe that would be a great thing for us to do together, because I do the just quick centering and breath and clearing thing every morning, but maybe that would be awesome to collectively do something every day. Other than that, maybe the breathing thing would be good. So there you go, Robert. Fear of opening 100% to being my true self. So it's really interesting, and meaning to share my true light 100%, not dimming it. And this reminds me of the Marianne Williamson quote, which I'm probably going to destroy here, but that part of it is, who are you not to be brilliant? Who are you not to shine your light? Right? And this actually carries us back around to what I thought was going to be the title originally today. Irma is asking, what time is the breathing with Terry, Angel, Suzanne? Maybe you could answer that. Good morning, Irma. Great to have you here. So what I was going to talk about, or I thought I was going to title the talk today, was receiving your gifts, because we all have gifts. We all came here with gifts, and those gifts are tools that we were granted to be able to do the things, to show up in the world and express ourselves fully in the, I'm going to say, mission that we chose for ourselves in coming here. And so we gave ourselves these gifts, and we gave ourselves these challenges in order that we may come into our fullest expression. And what I notice is that oftentimes we don't revere our gifts. So I was having this amazing conversation yesterday where somebody was saying, well, this comes so much easier to me than it does for other people, and I see other people struggling to be able to achieve this, and I just hate it, and meaning that they hated that it was so much easier for them. And I said, hey, wait a second. This is your gift. You were given that gift because it's yours to use, and it's yours to find your fullest expression. So let's receive our gifts. Let's not revile or resist our gifts. Let's embrace them. That we each have our own little treasure house of, and maybe not so little, we each have our own remarkable treasure house of gifts, and we get to grow into ownership of those gifts and then utilize them. Up, she did it again. She's such a fast thief. So and she's really good at not relinquishing what her prize. Here we go. So Maggie knows how to receive her gifts. Ouch. Maggie, stop. Ow. See, she's not happy with me taking her gift away there. Anyway, let's just go back here. 7 a.m. Eastern, Irma. And Rosalind says, replying to Suzanne, yes, it's on. Okay, so we're talking about Terry's page. By the way, Terry Angel is awesome. And if you haven't already checked her out, I really recommend you do so at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you for sharing that here, guys. And yeah, she's a remarkable human, and on such an amazing journey, and supporting and sharing and uplifting so many people. So I hope you join. Definitely check out Terry and join her. So Tammy says, naughty but funny Maggie girl. Yeah, she's pretty funny, and she is often very naughty too. And Suzanne says definitely giving up resistance helps with the flow. Yeah. So here's the thing, and Robert, I hear that you know, there was a fear about shining your light fully, and I think that this is a really common experience for humans. You know, it's like there's some kind of understanding or some kind of belief that if I shine my light, somehow it takes away. Oh, I'm sorry. So Tammy has corrected us. Terry's at 8 a.m. Eastern, not 7 a.m. So uh, just making that vocal. So that's Terry Angel's Morning Cup of Joy is at 8 a.m. Eastern. Thank you for that correction, Tammy. So receiving our gifts. So sometimes it seems that somehow people believe that if I shine brightly, it means it takes away from the light of those around me. And instead, as we shine brightly, we're inviting and enabling others to have space to shine their light. You know, it's not like my light is instead of yours. Light breeds light. So as we allow ourselves to shine, we're encouraging others to shine as well. And there are situations where people will um, try to diminish your light because they feel threatened by it, not because you're threatening them, but because they feel threatened by it. And when you recognize that situation, that's a good time to go find other people to surround yourself with, because we came here to shine our light, and we have gifts here that were given us in order to serve the purpose we came here for. And so Irma says, I feel resistance even to see my gifts, a fear I don't understand. Well, so, you know, here's my thing about that, Irma. It's not so important to understand the fear, because I mean, maybe understanding the fear would gain some insight. What is more important is to recognize, okay, I feel resistance to seeing my gifts, and I'm going to choose to see them anyway. You know, courage is not being afraid. Courage is moving forward in the face of fear anyway. And so Suzanne says, in response to Irma, I totally understand it. It takes a lot of practice to give up resistance. And so here's the thing is, yes, we have fears. You know, we all end up having fears, and that's okay. And we don't need to let those fears be the controlling factor in our lives. So even if we're fearful, we still get to move forward. We still get to choose where we want to move. We still get to choose. So for you, Irma, you have so many gifts. And I'm excited to have a chance to work with you to explore those gifts and discover those gifts. But the thing is, the thing is that these gifts, once discovered, require acknowledgement and and acceptance, and recognizing that these gifts, they're not an accident. They're not an accident. And they're not to be squandered. They're not to be disregarded, or, you know, to be denied, because it's so much easier for you to do something, whatever this thing is that you're gifted in, than it is for somebody else. You know, these gifts are ways that life flows through us with greater ease and grace. You know, when when we have certain gifts for seeing certain things, when we have certain gifts for creating in certain ways, those gifts are there for a reason, and they may be there for enjoyment. You know, they are there for enjoyment, but that may be the whole point, is to nourish and nurture this gift because you enjoy it. And so it was really interesting with this conversation yesterday that the interpretation of the gift was one that that had an onus to it, that had a negative charge to it, the context within which that gift was expressed. And it was the context that was misconstrued for the gift. So for instance, in this particular case, it was, you know, being able um, to be really responsive under fire. In other words, when there's an emergency, to be really good at managing emergencies. And the upshot was, but I don't want to live in an emergency. So the thing is that that was a limited interpretation of the gift, because the gift is much bigger than that. Why is it that you can respond well in emergencies? Well, because there's a broader view, because you're able to see all these different factors and then synthesize all that information really quickly and adeptly, you know. So when we recognize our gifts, we get to look at what the context is within which they exist. And so we get to stop resisting our gifts. We get to stop resisting our, you know, like, just what's on the other side of resistance is engagement or acceptance, or resistance is constrictive or contracting, and so acceptance is expansive, and receiving, right? Acceptance is receiving. So Irma says, yes, thank you, Mira. Wow, life flows through my gifts to enjoy life. Exactly, exactly. Like, our gifts are things we get to enjoy. And in that enjoyment, what are we doing? We're elevating the frequency, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. So Robert says, changing the way we look at things, like Wayne Dyer said, it's all about that. It's all about changing the way we look at things and experiencing things. The way we think about things changes the way we react to things, the way that we think about things, the way we feel about things, the way we interact. It's all projected, right? So if we can shift that projection, shift the angle of the camera, of the projector, shift the speed, or, you know, and any of these um, submodalities, if we can change any aspect of the way that we interact with life, then the experience of life itself changes. And our ideas about what life is change. So we are malleable, and we are life flowing through us, impeded or less impeded or more free flowing, depending on our level of resistance. And Robert says, our perception, exactly. And we get to shift all that, because there, you know, it's like ow, 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 ow. Wow. She bit my lip. I think she's saying, you know what, it's time to wrap it up today. Anyway, I think it's really valuable for us to recognize where, Rosalind, that's not nice. You're laughing at my pain. I am too. I am too. Yeah, I know, she's a hoot. Um, anyway, we get to make choices about about where we're going to put our energy. And this happens with every aspect of our experience. So um, I invite you to be aware, or just to allow yourself the freedom to enjoy your gifts. And I'm thinking that it may be that our gifts are also a path to the experience of flow. So, hello, Tanya. Welcome. You got here just as I'm wrapping up, but thank you so much for joining us. We were talking today about flow, and I wish you more states of flow. I think it's when we purely allow life to flow through us and express its intelligence through us as its vehicle. And I say, one of my sayings is, life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us and through us. And let's see. Christina says, and if anyone says your gifts are too big, run like the wind. Right. If other people are trying to dim your light, then that's not you don't have to run. You can turn and walk away slowly if you choose. But the thing is, go find another place to be, because you don't need people that are threatened by your light dimming your light. So, what kind of bird is that? Would it not poop all over the house? Yes, it poops all over the house. I have all kinds of handkerchiefs all over the place to clean up. And that bird is a green cheek conure. And she's just under a year old. And I have gotten really good at cleaning up bird poop. And so on, I'm not resisting. On that note, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to check out the other wonderful, wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network. And let's see, Robert says, meaning if you find yourself in a situation where you cannot move from where you are. Yes, Robert. So what we can do is to say, maybe I can't move from where I am, but what can I do? I can move in my mind. And when we move in our minds, we have the capacity to change our experience no matter what. And then maybe find a way to move beyond our mind as well. So lots and lots and lots of love to you all. And I hope to see you again here soon.